Welcome to Blue Collar Startup, the podcast where hard work meets big ideas. This is your home for real talk, real stories, and real strategies from the front lines of life in the business of the trades. I'm one of your hosts, Mike Nelson from Five Towers Media.
And I'm your other host, Derek Foster at Daigle Cleaning Systems here in Albany.
Yes, you are. Ready to get to
How we
work,
doing?
D?
Yeah,
All right.
always.
All right. How's it going today, everybody? D, or what are you up to right now?
It's been a day working on a few different things. I got a few different projects going, but we've had some changes in our organization, for the better to try to get us to the next level. So, we were talking about that offline here before we jumped on, and I think probably sparked a couple topics for us to talk about today with
we'll,
Joe. He
we'll
doesn't know
pull
it
in.
yet, but
Yeah.
um, it's as you progress through I guess the ebbs and flows of business, things are constantly changing, in order to keep growing. So we're dealing with a couple of those, but all good stuff. So
It's funny too, because I was just thinking yesterday, I was in my car, which is where I do my best thinking. I think a lot of people do. And I was thinking about we should do an episode at some point just talking about how the work is never done in business, no matter what level you get to. You always have to pivot and get better and make changes. And it's not a static thing where you just build to a point and then you just coast. Like that's not a thing. Um, but we could spend a whole hour easily talking just about that. So,
yeah, and I mean, there's so many things going on, in the world today. And I learned earlier this week, unfortunately, the gentleman who actually got me into the robotic side of the business, he was 86 years old. He passed away earlier this week.
oh man, I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's I appreciate that. Great guy. He was very influential, for us and helping us get to where we are today with some of the new technology out there. But he worked his tail off until the last couple days, So
Yeah, yeah. That's kind of my plan for life.
me too.
Work until the
Me
day
too.
I can't imagine not working. So,
Yep.
um, so I want to, we're going to introduce our guest here in just a second. But before I do, I just want to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Of course, these are the folks that not only help make this show happen, but also put us in the position to be able to help some young folks at HVCC and the BOCES programs here locally. We get to help them with tools and tuition money in some cases. And it's all because of the following people. Shout outs to Peopleese, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Michaels Group, Catamount Construction. Of course, always a big shout out to Scott and Stacy for all the help they give us. And then, of course, thanks to Derek's team over at Daigle Cleaning Systems that give him the room to be able to do the show, and our team over at Five Towers Media for helping with production. So, just thanks to everybody. Really appreciate all the different efforts that all those people listed provide us. So, thank you very much. And without further ado, Joe Cerrone.
How we doing?
What's up, Joe?
Not too much.
Yeah,
Just another day,
another day in the life.
Yep,
Another day
yep.
in the life. I'm excited about our conversation today, Joe. I said to you when we were talking about it, I think it was earlier this week or last week, and I was saying that to Derek too. I mean, we've known each other a little over a decade, I think now, right?
Yeah, I'd say about 10 years or so. Yep.
Yeah, yeah. We met at CrossFit. It's funny too because one of my earliest memories of you, Joe, is you fixing the thermostat at CrossFit. The heat wasn't
Save the
working.
day.
Yeah,
Yep.
he was. He was.
Just
Yeah.
got a message, no heat. Everyone's
Yeah,
in the gym. I was like, all right, let me swing by. Yeah.
yeah. Let's see if we can handle this. And but it's been really cool though, Joe. All kidding aside, 10 years ago, the business that you have now looked very different than what it looks like now.
Absolutely.
And just watching what you've done with it and substantial growth. But and I know you and I joked about this where I was like, well, it always just seems like it was really nice controlled growth. And I know that we kind of joked like, yeah, always seems calm on the surface, but
Right.
really looking forward to talk today about, second generation business owner. Your dad started the company 40 years ago, 45 years ago.
About 40
Wow.
years ago. Yeah, a couple years before I was born. Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And and then roughly in the last decade anyway, you've really come on board and started to take over and really just leaps and bounds with that business. I can't say that enough. So where do we start, Joe? How to tell us a little bit about Cerrone Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning.
Yeah, well, obviously I'm Joe Cerrone. I'm the owner and operator. We're out of Queensbury, New York here. Yeah, and then we've been, just steadily, running the business as efficiently and productive as we possibly can, Um, and yeah, we do plumbing, heating, air conditioning, and we're here to, serve our customers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many people on your team right now, Joe?
There are 30 people on my team.
30.
Yeah.
That's nice. That's nice. But when I first met you 10, 12 years ago, how many people did you have on the team then?
So about 12 years ago, I came back here from Long Island,
Yeah.
and it was me, my dad, and a plumber. That's it.
Nice.
That made up Cerrone Plumbing and Heating, and we had a van, of
Yeah.
course. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. Just the one van, right?
Yep, just the one van.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yep.
And now I feel like you got a whole fleet of vans.
There are 23 vans.
Holy moly.
Yep.
Wow.
Yep. Fun stuff.
Yeah. Well, when you look at like the scale of that, right? Like, so going from just 3 people to 30 people, that's a 10x, right? An employee
Yep.
count. Um, I mean, where do we even start with this? Like, what do you think? Is there any secret sauce? I mean, let's start with the real good stuff first, right? Is there any
Uh,
magic? You got some pixie dust that you can sprinkle on our listeners?
Trial and error. From from the beginning, because I was like an installer, and that's what I came from, as being an installer. I went to school to become a service tech, and I obviously started doing service. And when I say I've been in every position in this company, I have been in every position in this company. So it started, there, and then over the years, I gradually worked myself into one position, then the next, then the next. And at one time, I was a service technician, dispatching to myself, uh, because all the phones got actually forwarded to either me or my dad's cell phone.
Hmm.
So like there was no office or anything like that. Um, and that's the roots of it, and that's where it started, you know. But we always did great, quality work. My dad, from the beginning, like we always stand by our work, do the right thing by the customer, if you have that, that basically in the back of your mind of like, this is what we have to do, and you're always doing the right by the customer. The work was there to grow, but in this area, scaling is the hardest thing to do, you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm curious on as you advanced. So obviously, right, it's you, your dad, and a plumber.
Yep.
So literally, like as you're advancing, we'll say up the food chain or up the ladder or through the company. I mean, were you essentially creating a position for yourself to go next? Like, what did that look like?
So I didn't even really realize it, but yeah, like my position changed all the time. So I would just kind of like, oh, well, I was like, well, this needs to be done. And then I would just kind of start doing it. My dad wasn't, restricting me from doing anything that needed to be done. Well, I was like, well, um, the biggest, hardest conversation with my dad all the time was like, I think we need another van, He's like, really? You think so? He's like, what about the winter, when we get slower? And I was like, well, I think the first thing for our second van was, I was like, I think I need to be doing service, and, just being a service technician. And then there needs to be somebody filling my spot. And then there needs to be an install van, and that's how we went to our second van. But, it's kind of like, you adapt to where you're needed. You know, what I keep in my head is like, I just ask myself, is this what's best for the company? And it's like,
Mhm.
yes. And even though if it's something that I don't like to do or I don't want to do, like when I was the only one doing quotes and I was the sales representative,
Mhm.
not a huge fan of doing that, but I did it for years, by myself. So Yeah.
What's your favorite position that you've
I
worked,
mean,
Joe?
going back to the beginning, like when I was an installer, like I was a very fast, quick, productive installer. So like I like to see, oh, this look what I did today. So I would, throw up all this ductwork, I would do the venting, it all looked neat, perfect. Then I look back at it at the end of the day as like I'm cleaning up for the day. I was like, wow, I did a good job because I felt productive and I had all this put together and it all looked nice, and you can make everything look nice and neat. So that was like probably my favorite position, which was the first position here. But it just made me feel good at the end of the day because I was productive.
And now as the owner, how does it go for you now?
No, productive is different. Is a different definition nowadays. It's a lot different. Productive is I don't even know if it's it's in my day to days now. But I'll have a good solid list of what I need to do, and I do my best to get through it. You know,
I was thinking the same thing. Like that's how I judge. I did a good job at work today. Was I got at least half of that list checked
great.
off, right?
Yep.
Like if I got halfway through that list, man, that was some serious work.
Yep. Yep. The more stuff I cross out on my list is how productive I was today, I guess.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So when you're, again, I think, the big thing that we want to help people understand today is just kind of like what scaling looks like and some of the important things. And you did a great job of illustrating like that second van. And at what point though, like, I mean, was adding that second van scary or did it just make sense to you?
So at that time, buying a van is a big deal. Having
Yeah.
another van was a huge expense. Because we weren't large at that time. So it's another big expense and it's more insurance, another van payment, and getting it lettered, getting it shelved, setting it up, like just the stock that goes into a van. People don't know, but it's extremely expensive.
Hmm.
Especially if you're doing like service and you're looking to stock parts. So that was definitely, an unsure time, but I was like, this has got to be the right move. I go, we have service calls and I need to be, and I need to be doing them. The calls are
Hmm.
coming in. We got to be able to get to these people that have no heat right away. With that came this other double-edged sword. Because in our industry, customers always want 24-hour service. So then, I opened up this door for myself, a very dark door, being the only one on call for a long time,
Yeah.
So emergency would come in, it would, go to my phone and I would, have to take care of it. Our customer base wasn't as big back then, but still it's like, okay, very inconvenient. You just worked all day and then you're coming home and you have a whole, another couple calls to do, for emergency service.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it never stops.
No, no.
It sounds like a dark door.
It was, but I was, I wasn't married or anything. I didn't have kids. It was a good time for me to do that. It was a challenging time. But then we were doing all the administrative work, billing out people with invoices. Back then it was just paper copies.
Mhm.
So that was I just remember how hard it was back then, thinking back at it right now.
Yeah. Now, as we look at like today, I know that you've got a support staff at the office, you've got people out doing service, doing installations. Ha Explain to us about how you bridge that gap between van number two and where you are today. Like, what does that process look like?
It was for me, it was, learning as I kind of went along. So like it came to a certain point. So like throughout the years, I can't remember exactly, but we had, several install crews and several people doing service just because the workload was there.
Hmm.
So like after van number two, a couple of years went by, several more vans were bought because the workload was there. There was like this point where I just wasn't sure what to do next, and the answer was I needed somebody in the office. It just took years of me trying to figure out. I was like, well, I don't know if we're there yet because we didn't even have an office yet. So
Right.
our home base was my dad's house. Um, so for a period of time, it would be all of us going to my dad's house to meet, jump in the van, and then go out. Then after that, we worked out of storage units. So we did basically have all our material in the storage units. We meet at the storage units. That's when we're had 3 to 4 vans, and then we would go and go out for the day. Um, there came a point where I was like, was uncertain because I was in my mid 20s. I was
Mhm.
unsure. But I eventually figured out or made the move. I was like, well, I need somebody in the office answering the calls because it was just getting a little bit too much. But you get to a point where it's like nonstop, 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 and then you gotta like sit down and figure out, okay, what do I need here? And the answer was I needed office.
Mhm.
So that's when that kind of came apart, from I need somebody answering the phones and invoicing customers.
Yeah. So you knew you needed the office person, but before you have an office person, you need an office, right? So you got
Exactly. Yep. Yep.
and
So you can't
yeah.
just have somebody in a cold storage unit, answering the phone. So
There's got to be a law against that, I would assume.
yeah, I know, I'm sure there's something. Um yep. So yep, from there we actually found an office to rent. And then we actually later ended up buying the building. So we were only renting out a portion of where are located right now. And we had a home base at that point. Everybody came here. We had a place for the vans, and then we also, had um, our phone line here with somebody actually answering it, rather
Mhm.
than us answering it out in the field.
Yeah. I'm curious, Joe. Obviously, when you're looking at adding a van to add another installer or another service tech, you're looking at your ability to add income.
Yes.
When you're adding office staff, you're really only looking at adding a liability. There's value in that liability,
Yep.
but it's still a liability, right?
Right. That was probably the like a van is like, okay, the van's gonna bring in more money. Okay. Another van, it's gonna, be able to produce for us. And office staff was the hardest pill for us all to follow because like, okay, that is just straight overhead, you
Yeah,
know. Um, but it was necessary because it just got to the point where it was like, okay, we need to have a better customer service here because me on a service call or if I need to get away for a few days, it was just, people would be without heat and it just wasn't gonna work.
wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
Now, I know you said it took you a while to make that to finally come to terms with it. Looking back at it, do you wish you made that decision sooner?
Oh, way sooner. Yeah. It took me in my early 20s just not knowing. It just took me a while just to piece two together.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
And when you did that, was it instantly like, oh, thank God we did this, or were there any challenges
Oh
with
no.
that?
It was me not knowing how to run an office at first. So it was me trying to train somebody, what I was doing out in the field. From there, it was rough for me to try to keep the office intact, the field intact, and make sure everything was flowing properly. Took years to get that more ironed out to what it is today. But it took, sometimes you just need the right people for the right jobs, too. So
Yeah.
that took a factor in there, but the office staff grew. The office is at 6 people right now. So
Yeah.
yeah.
I'm curious. I know that anyone that's been in the situation understands this, but if you haven't been, you might not understand it. But I know that when you're in growth mode like that and you're hiring new positions and you're ironing out how you onboard those employees and how you train them and how they behave and what they do and when they do it. I know from a business owner standpoint, it's a very uncomfortable place to be because you're so worried about what's happening without you, right? And is it
Right.
happening correctly? And are my customers happy? And
Right.
are they going to continue to use us? Like I'm so out of touch with what's happening right now.
Right.
I'm curious of how you dealt with that.
It's like you have to, so delegating is probably one of the hardest things to do in my position. So because I like to do everything, so I like to do install, I like to be the service tech, I wanted to be in the office, but you have to, like, delegating is a skill. Like, people think it's just something you do. No, it's something you learn to do through trial and error, I would say.
Yeah.
But it's, you try to be everywhere, but you just can't, so you have to put people in certain, roles and responsibilities, basically, and, have them do certain things and try to check up on them, but it is hard when you're the only person and you're trying to, manage like a whole company. Also issues that are going on a job, also being the one on call, also, having several employees reporting to you at that point.
Yeah. Yeah. You're chief cook and bottle washer doing all the stuff,
Oh
right?
yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Joe, did you have employees hired already before you purchased the van? Or how did that look? Do you have a relationship with, you know, organizations that provide skilled labor for you, or how does that work?
No, we trained them from scratch. So what we did, the second employee was one of my friends, who his family was in construction. And he started here, as a helper and became a good installation lead eventually. But it's in this area, it is, as you guys know, extremely hard to find good help. Um, Takes years and years and years. A lot of people here right now, I was listing them to a couple of people the other day. A quarter of the people here we trained from no experience, years and years and years ago. And it just takes time. But we lined up at that point. We lined up a helper, for the plumber to be with, and then I took the lead on the service.
Got it.
Yeah. It's do you find I just a little offshoot off that, do you find that bringing people in and giving them from no skills to giving them skills, do you find that that helps with retention at all?
It helps. So like in our industry, like they'll learn how to do things the way you like them done. We've also trained a lot of people that like, don't like the cold, so when we try, we'd hire them in the summer, and then winter comes around, and then they would be unhappy, or they wouldn't want to work here anymore because they didn't understand, like, oh, we're working outside
Mhm.
sometimes, it's like, yeah, if we were to do new construction, because we do a lot of that, if we do that, the house doesn't have heat in it because we didn't install the heat yet. Um, it's going to be cold in there, so the winters are very cold up here. So
Yeah.
there was a lot of that going on. Like, people get, oh, I want to get into the trade, and not really fully understanding what the trade involves, you know. So there's its pros and cons to
Yeah.
it.
Okay.
There was wasted time, but there's a lot of actual very good employees that that are assets here now that we have trained from scratch.
Yeah. Uh,
So I was having flashbacks, Joe, when you were talking about working out of your house and then the storage unit, and we follow a similar trajectory, and you're 100% right. You kind of figure it out as you go. What what did you do in terms of, because obviously as you add vans, you add vehicles, there's more to manage. Did you have any software components or different programs that you had to put in place in order to allow you to grow and still be able to keep in touch with what's going on?
Not at first, but then I figured out that we did eventually. So as our customer database like grew, um, I was originally just doing everything on Excel. Like I had Excel and Word templates, for invoices, and I would just have different folders for different customers, and that's how I was originally doing. And then after a little while, I was like, well, this isn't working. This is too much. Then we did um, buy a software program to help us keep all that organized. Yeah.
Did you, obviously those software programs aren't cheap. I know we utilize a few as well, and we actually ended up building our own for some of the stuff that we do, just because the solutions on the market were so expensive for our employee count that I was like, so I can spend this amount of money, or I can build the program, and within 3 years it's paid for itself, and I still own the program. How did you, again, talking about looking at liabilities, because I know that that's a big barrier to growth for a lot of people. They need something, but it's like justifying the money you're going to spend on this stuff. How did you look at the justification for that?
Um, so it's like it's something you have to do, because you look at you just look at it from a customer standpoint. Like if a customer wants to know what you did there last year, or you need to be able to look something up, you have to be able to do that now, like remotely on the spot, So if you base like the way we did it is just kind of think about it like, okay, this is going to be what's best for the customer. This is going to make us run more efficiently. Um, yeah, we're not like the cheapest person in town right now. But you know what? That is okay because we want to provide our customers with the best experience and service possible, and this is the way to do it.
Hmm.
Um, like nowadays, yeah, there's companies that where we were 10 years ago that are going to be a little bit cheaper than us, but maybe they don't have, 24-hour service, and it's not really comparing apples to apples. As far as, the value in a company, that cares.
Yeah. And I know obviously we won't name names for the software, but I know that you've been with that one software platform for quite a while.
Yep.
Recently transitioned over to a new one.
Yes.
I'm curious as to what made you think like, hey, it's time for us to jump from software A to software B.
The main thing is being able to run reports fast and efficiently. The old program, it was us like exporting it into like Excel and then sorting it out, which was extremely time consuming.
Yeah.
Um, so our new program has capabilities where you can customize reports. You can run reports on everything as far as like how many calls came in that day, how many calls were booked, the technician's conversion. It just does everything automatically,
Mhm.
that it is like a huge time saver. Our old program was really good for 2 to 3 technicians, like service technicians out in the field. But when you have like above 6 service technicians, um, it's just it's very time consuming to run the reports that you need to run. And that's not including like the other 14 installers we have out in the field.
Right.
you know,
Right.
so um when it comes to that, it's the value is there. Because you're going to save so much time.
Yeah. Well, because at the end, well, right at the end of the day, there is a dollar amount e- equivalent for every hour spent, right? So
Yeah,
like,
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So like if you have a program that, does job costing for you, and if you use it correctly, then you don't have to do it manually. Huge time saver. And then, it comes with all other, has like, van inventory capabilities, that we're, working towards in this new program that, as soon as a technician uses something on a customer's house, it'll register back to the office. They'll put it in the bin to go back on the customer's house or back in the technician's van. And it kind of like works as a good system. It actually can send an email to our supplier to come restock our warehouse as well. So it's the capabilities
wow.
are there. Yeah.
Yeah. So
So
that's eliminating. Oh, I mean, that's eliminating human overhead from having to go back and do inventory and see what you need to order, and
Oh
then
yeah.
finding out you ran out, you don't have the parts.
Yeah.
That's pretty slick.
Yeah, no, it's just it's hard to learn, like switching software programs is a huge deal. A lot of people don't understand how much goes into it, but to set something like it up is, takes, you know, a long time. Yeah.
Do you
Yeah.
have any pointers for me? Because I'm going to be going through that here over the next probably month or so.
Have patience.
Yeah, that's that's what I figured.
Yeah. Have patience and get in front of it. Right now it's like, okay, I gotta learn this because one, I gotta teach everyone else how to do it. For like in our
Yeah.
business, it's like, okay, I got the whole technician side that they're on iPads. I gotta know how to use that iPad. I gotta know the ins and outs because I gotta teach them. And then you got the whole office side, that needs to make sure that um, they're seeing everything that they need to see. So that would be like my advice is to get out in front of it. Recently I just been kind of staying here at the office. I'm on a thing that nothing falls through the cracks. I don't care if we're verbally telling each other, sending it through emails until we figure out the proper workflows in the software program that we're using, but um, I have a rule that nothing falls through the cracks.
How do you as you talk about that, Joe, it makes me think about all the different hats that you're wearing on a day-to-day basis and all the different things that you're doing. Do you have any secret sauce for how you juggle all that stuff? Or like with all these projects, like you don't want anything to fall through the cracks. So how do you ensure that nothing is?
So there is priorities. Like for like in our office now we have a customer service representative, dispatcher, parts and warranties department there also. So um like I said before we walked into this, I go, our roles and responsibilities are not changing. Our day-to-days stay the same. How we do them will change. So there's like things that I listed for everybody in the office that have to be done that day, no matter what. And they always help each other, if somebody's behind or somebody needs to, chip in. But um, I've been like setting myself in the office just to make sure, they are all like, everything
Mhm.
is, working as smoothly as possible. And then I'll be, on the front to the technicians, and helping the technicians out in the field. What I have delegated, is a lot of the installs. I have somebody who I'm training to be an install manager here, that has, taken the reins of that, which has been a huge help. So I have been able to spend more time here.
Mhm.
But like overall, it's just what is priority. Like I have a giant list of everything that needs to be implemented in this software program, but it's one thing at a time and what's most priority right now, and go from there.
Yeah, I always think about the acronym WIN, WIN, what's important now.
Right. Yeah.
Right. And it's the same thing. It's exactly what you're saying, right?
Right.
I'm always looking at the list and I'm like, all right, like what's important right
Right.
now?
Right. And you have this giant list. Well, it's like, okay, if something comes into mind. Oh, I have to do that. I got to get that into play. Well, let me put it on my list. And then your list will, you'll chip away at it, even if it's, one a week or whatever it is. But some are big things to tackle.
And are your lists, are you like I'm a yellow pad guy. I don't know if that's because I'm almost 50, but I'm still yellow pads. Are you?
Yep. So I got lists everywhere. But yes, my daily tasks are on a notepad, and I'm crossing them out. And I always have it around me because I always have to write something down. It could be as simple as make sure we're huge on follow-ups and making sure we're responding to people. So like even if I have to reach out to somebody or do something, like no matter what, even if I have to remember to send a text, it always goes on my pad because 2 seconds later you're getting pulled in a different direction.
Yeah.
I'm the same way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't think it's age, Mike.
It's not age. It's
No.
well, I don't know. Maybe you young guys got some of this newfangled technology. You got some sort of cool app that you're using to stay organized.
My other lists are on like a Word document or like my master list of what I got to do, like long term. They're all, they're everywhere.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I actually, it's funny you say that because when I do like my yearly goal setting and planning and all that stuff, I do that all in Google Drive on a Google Doc because the yellow pads get lost all the time. Or like I'll start one and then I'll leave it, and then I need to write something down, so I'm like, ah, shit. So I grab a fresh pad, and the next thing you know, I got three different pads going. The
Yeah.
long-term planning stuff is always somewhere that can't get lost. But
Right, right. No, I get that.
uh,
So
um,
what's the future look like, Joe?
Um, just looking to run, my goal is, for the company to run without me being involved in everything, is like what I'm trying to structure. I like to work on the company, not in it consistently. We're just trying to more hit our residential. We like dealing with residential customers. We came from new construction, and we're looking to grow our customer database, into more hitting, the Saratoga region, which we don't really hit that hard right now. We're located in, Queensbury, Glens Falls area. We do a lot of work in Lake George. But we're really looking to, go down south a little bit because it's a market that we haven't really, tapped into that that much right now. And that's like kind of where our focus is to like grow our residential customer database.
It's awesome. Do you have any young guys that are currently training and working with you to help you grow?
Yep.
Where are
Yeah,
you,
absolutely.
where are you
Yep.
finding them?
All over the place. Some guys came from BOCES. Some guys have like went to Hudson Valley Community College and did the heating and air conditioning program there, which is where I came from. They did that program there, and they are just, looking to get into the trade, and sometimes you find, guys there. So we have, guys as helpers working with leads. And then a lot of those people who, became started here and became lead installers, they're looking to get into service. So everyone's, growing with the company, which is awesome, to look at guys that came here 6, 7 years ago that went to BOCES, or guys that I have, one of the guys that I trained here as as a service technician. He was riding along with me, that are our top guys now, which is awesome to see, guys who are, growing with our company.
amazing.
Yeah.
Shout out to
Guys.
the Blue Collar College in BOCES.
Yeah, right. Blue collar college, baby.
Yep, absolutely.
Uh, I know we're gonna jump over to the membership side of the podcast here, guys. So for our listeners, if you don't know, this is our first episode. We launched a members only platform. It's a whopping $5 a month, guys, but just kind of helping to offset some of the production costs on Patreon. So you can find us Blue Collar Startup over on Patreon. But before we do, Joe, one last question for the listeners on Spotify, Apple, Rumble, and YouTube. If you were going to tell our listeners one thing about growing and scaling a business in the trades, what would it be?
Have patience and be organized. I think that will, overall sums that up.
That'll pull you through.
Yeah.
Amazing. Um, Thanks, everybody. That's the end of the show. But of course, we're jumping over to the members only portion of things. So I hope you'll join us over there. And but if not, we really appreciate everybody listening. And of course, one more shout out to our sponsors. Thank you again to everybody for helping us get the show going. And you'll hear from us next week.
And that wraps up another episode of Blue Collar Startup. A big thank you to our sponsors, 5 Towers Media, Daigle Cleaning Systems, Daigle Fire Solutions, The Michaels Group, Martin Electric, MLB Construction, Bonaccio Construction, Peoplease, and Catamount Consulting for making this podcast possible. And thank you for tuning in. If you learned something or felt inspired, connect with us on our website at bluecollarstartup.io or email us at hardhat.bcsu@gmail.com. We'd love to hear your questions and topic ideas. Help us spread the word by sharing the show and following us on social media for updates. Until next time, keep on building, keep on dreaming, and keep hustling like your future depends on it.